Hi, I am Don, Donaram, back from the dead, still.
And I'm Cody.
Yep, very much alive.
Yeah. Just talked about occasionally, but seen now, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, you are a figure of legend, a figure of legend for very specific reasons.
And this is gonna this is gonna be one of the times where it's just like, hey, we would have preferred he stayed myth. Or
Yeah,
legend.
you're like you're the figure from Hellenistic Greece, of which we only have fragmentary records.
I like it.
Yeah, and that's because your basement was a very legendary place for all of our childhoods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't just your basement at that point.
It was the place of LAN parties.
It was
and,
very heavily colonized.
Oh yeah, a lot of people going through there.
And it's back in the 90s. It's you're expected to play outside and be productive and sociable, and like your parents keep foisting these like expectations on you when you don't want to do them.
Right.
And then every now and again it rains, and you're just carte blanche, like, oh, you must be so sad that you can't go outside and play. And
and you're just like, yeah, it does suck.
Yeah,
hey, anyway, back to the
sure
Sega.
does suck. Or it snows outside, and you do the obligatory snowball fight, and then like, oh, I'm so cold, I think I might be getting sick too.
You're right. That's the kind of stuff that you just needed that excuse, so your parents wouldn't be like, why don't you go outside, enjoy the weather? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I have allergies. I never enjoy being outside.
Right.
Even when I hike and I hate it, but I also love it because I hate myself. And by punishing myself, I derive a sick pleasure from it. I was a lot healthier when I was just gaming.
My God.
And anyway, that's basically what we're talking about. Holiday gaming.
Oh,
because
yeah.
we're nerds, but we're festive nerds.
100%. I mean, what, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks sometimes?
I remember
close,
that.
You know?
That was awesome.
Right?
Like right up until we started working over the holidays.
That kind of stuff where your parents are like, hey, why don't you guys go hang out at a friend's house and do something? It's
Okay.
cold outside.
Yeah. We'll do a lot of outdoor things at each
we're,
other's houses.
We're going to be at work. We know it's cold outside. Stay inside. Here's a 20 on the counter for pizza.
Yeah, like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was pretty awesome.
Those calories will not be burned off, but we're kids, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're not quite at the level where we have to worry about cholesterol just yet. Let's just go ahead and subsist completely off of Dr. Pepper, Twinkies, like pizza, and whatever the hell, Doritos. There you go. Yeah. Mountain Dew.
Cody, what was your first big game memory?
Holy crap. I mean, my first big game memory is probably the first time I got introduced to Super Mario Bros., but I also had an Atari at that time.
Oh.
Yeah. I was going real old school, even, I guess, compared to, when those first came out. But, I mean, in all honesty, the time when I really started to have fun with it was just with the idea of playing two-player, but two-player simultaneously. So we're talking like even some games on the Sega, actually. Like I think Bo and I used to play, I want to say it was like Maximum Carnage, I think. This one of the Spider-Man games. I remember that pretty extensively. I mean, just the holidays in general were that time for like really just busting out games that were good for two-player, but if nobody was around, like if you were just waking up, then it was JRPG time. I mean, like one of my first ultra gaming memories was helping Bo out at one point. Like Final Fantasy VII had just come out.
Oh,
he was my introduction into the JRPG world.
Okay,
through Final Fantasy VII.
Did not know that.
Like I had played some of them before. Like I didn't have a Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
so I missed out on a lot of good ones.
Very good system.
Right, like I might have had a little bit going on with I think some of the Breath of Fire games are on the Sega, but I never really got a good dose of it. Like I was more platformer action, I guess. Like, I could do Vector Man backwards and forwards. That's not a problem. original Mario was wake up before school and just want to speed run something real quick, so you get out and do that. But the PlayStation changed all that. So those are probably my first big memories. Was or maybe sitting at your house speed running Mega Man X. Yeah.
That was and the Dread game.
Oh shit, that Dread game was amazing.
The Sylvester Dread game.
Just beating people into submission and watching them just kneel down and put their hands behind their head.
I had no idea what cocaine was, so I just assumed the C drugs were caffeine.
Yes.
Because Dare told me that caffeine was a drug.
That's right.
It did not stop me. My first video game system was probably one of those... it was one of those things where you plug the VHS in and pretend that you're interacting with it.
Yes.
It's like there's a theater actor in a sheriff's hat saying, "You did some mighty good shooting." the game opens up, and like, hold on, it's time for a showdown, and then nothing happens.
I mean, because we also kind of grew up in those heydays where the cutscene hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So we were getting a lot of those, at least not a graphically rendered one. We were getting those terrible live action acting ones.
Yeah.
Like Command and Conquer. There you go. Because there was just like, what B-list actor can you find that would gladly do this? Just for a paycheck and phone it in real hard.
Hell, we were kids. I mean, we didn't know what good was.
No.
Like, there was probably moments where I had like a tear running down my cheek, like, brilliance.
Right. The games,
brilliance.
the games were amazing gameplay wise. The Star Wars games, early Star Wars games.
Oh, the Super Nintendo Star Wars games were so hard.
They were. But the ones where you start to get into like the CD era and all of a sudden they're doing the live action cutscene stuff and it's just like no budget went into it. Yeah. Or that's why we get Mark Hamill and Wing Commander though.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as children of the 90s, we had a lot of... Did you have a lot of hand-me-downs coming in?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the Nintendo... I never owned one. I always had it on loan from someone who happened, and they were all busted. Yeah. All of them. Like, I had to blow into the system. I had to blow into the cartridge. I had to do percussive maintenance.
Yeah.
Just tap it.
Right.
And then you hit it, and then you punch it, and then it explodes.
Put the other tape on top of it to prevent it from popping up.
And you have to make sure it's like at a slight angle.
Yep.
And then it'll work for 50 minutes and only 50 minutes. So
yes.
You play, you get really good at like 3 stages of Mega Man. And then it dies. And for the longest time, my Christmas wish was a Nintendo. And I never actually got a working Nintendo until Super Nintendo, which is funny because so many parents across the United States were furious that they had to buy another Nintendo.
Yep.
Because they had one at home.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Nintendo at home is literally on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yellow.
It's hardly working. You're getting that lovely red blinking light where you're seeing the Mario screen slide in from the side and then just repeat.
And then there's like binary language everywhere. You have to be like a tech priest from 40K to actually appreciate it at that point. Yeah. But I was actually relatively lucky. I got the Super Nintendo. That was the first real console that I legitimately owned all to myself, and it still works. Well, at least it would if I had a TV that with the adapters.
The funny thing is, like, when you say that stuff, the first thing I can think of is I can remember shooting ducks in Duck Hunt and seeing code. Like, that's how bad it got. But you didn't care because you're just like, this is round 30 of Duck Hunt, and I haven't missed one yet.
I'm watching that bird die. I'm watching the live stream part for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I'm watching this thing's digital soul leave its body.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious to think of that. Because I never had a Super Nintendo. I had a Sega Genesis. And the funny thing was, how I got introduced to gaming consoles in general was my dad. And it would later be the thing he probably regrets the most, if I had to guess, about my upbringing. Because then that was the thing where it's just like I absolutely love playing this, and he was like, God, I wish you'd go outside.
It's like the opening of Kingdom Hearts where there's like a shield, a sword, but there's like a football and a game console.
Yeah.
And you immediately beeline for the game console. That's my personality.
Yeah, your dad's like, why don't you go outside and practice playing basketball?
Dad, I'm
Like,
invested in this.
and then be like, nah, it's all right. Let's play NBA Jam instead.
Yeah, I never even. I remember. I remember trying to play sports games on the Nintendo, and I'm like, dude, this Nintendo's minutes are numbered.
Well,
I'm not wasting them on sports.
Right. Well, I would say well, even at that, the early sports games were so broken though. Like,
Yeah.
what was it, Tecmo Bowl?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you pick one play. After you figure out that one play with that one team, and you just crush everything from then on out, it doesn't matter.
But let's see. Super Nintendo. Playing Donkey Kong with my cousins was really fun.
Yeah.
But I also had a Game Boy. That was I had the old gray brick, and I remember playing the Spider-Man game on that, and I never beat Green Goblin.
I remember you also played Metroid.
I did play Metroid. I got that for Christmas one year, and I beat it that night, and I didn't go to sleep.
Yeah. You can always remember too, like whenever your parents would get you a new Game Boy game on Christmas or something, they would always come with a pack of batteries because they knew you're going to kill it that day.
Well, they weren't that smart, but I had a lot of siblings, and they had a lot of toys that required batteries, so I just start like scavenging them
Nice.
and replacing the dead ones. Like, oh, this thing's dead. This stupid keyboard's already dead.
What a shame.
What are you gonna do? The cheap Chinese crap? Oh, it's Japanese. It's the 90s. The Japanese are gonna take over everything. Sean Connery's gonna be in a movie about it.
Right. Oh my God, yes, with Wesley Snipes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rising Sun. Jesus, I remember that
You
one.
don't understand glorious Nippon.
Right.
They work hard for more than 8 hours.
Which is funny because Sean Connery is an expert in Japanese culture in that movie.
Yeah.
Just
He looks at the camera. If only you were more capitalist,
right.
perhaps we could defeat them.
Hearing him say Yakuza was absolutely, 100% worth it.
You remember the Tiger handheld games?
Yeah.
Stocking Stuffer, the ultimate stocking stuffer. It's a video game that you have. Of course you're going to play it.
That was also the most frustrating version of Mortal Kombat I've ever played.
Oh my God, that sounds horrible.
I had it. Yeah, it was terrible.
Like I had racing games, and that was passable because you just have to keep on the straight line,
right,
and avoid occasional lines.
You occasionally see like a blip coming at you.
Yeah, like, okay, that's probably an obstacle or a power up. I don't know. I can't tell.
I'm just gonna move over here, and we're just gonna.
This will either heal me or kill me. It's like finding drugs on the street.
Yeah. that exercise in frustration and repetitiveness, though, later gave us the Tamagotchi.
That's true. I never had a Tamagotchi.
I did. Looking back, I don't know why.
I would have killed it.
I'm pretty sure I did a couple times. Or I just reset it when I got bored with it and somehow realized that starting from scratch was the exact same thing as just keeping it going.
Yeah, like what if it's still awake and alive out there and just completely like it's like those broken monkeys from those experiments that were raised in captivity, isolated from everything.
Yes.
And it's still there. And like you find it someday and it's just a broken mess.
There's just a lot of poo piles you gotta tap a button to clean up, and its look on its face is like, why did you abandon me?
I mean, I think I became the custodian of my family's Furby after Christmas one year, and I don't know what the hell happened to it or if it's still awake and where.
If anything, I hope it just sauntered off by itself. Actually,
if
there's nothing good about having a Furby around, especially in the middle of the night when you wake up to whoopee, and you're like, nope, you can fuck right off. Like,
I mean, I'd say its batteries are dead, but the Stormtrooper blaster that I got for Christmas in '97 still works.
Yep.
I know that because my nephews got it out one year, and that's like a ghost of Christmas past. Like, what the fuck? That was dead. That was dead and buried.
Right. I'm pretty sure I still have a Han Solo blaster that works somewhere.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, ghosts of Christmas past.
You're right. But I mean, that was the time, though. That was the time when you really got to like, if there was something you wanted to do in a game that you hadn't done. Like it was going to be a lengthier side quest. Like you had you had more time because you didn't have homework.
Yeah, it's holiday break, and it's snowing, and it's bad outside. Even your parents are angry.
Right, and your parents wanted you to be outside, but they also didn't want you to get hypothermia, so they're...
Yeah, or they recognized that it would be poor optics.
Exactly. It would look bad on us if you went to the hospital.
It would reflect poorly on us.
Yes, we left you at home all day, but yeah.
Which is exactly what we wanted, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I also and Star Fox. That was another big one. The very first Star Fox.
Oh, you're talking about Super Nintendo Star Fox.
Oh yeah, Super Nintendo.
Star Fox 64 was the one for me.
Yeah. I remember. I remember like learning a lot of mathematics scale. Like wow, those things are really, 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 really big. Because like I had like some engineering fifth grader as a friend at the time. He was like, "Oh, that's about as big as your house." And I'm pretty sure he was wrong, but it did put things in perspective because I was used to micro machines.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, scale exists. But yeah, the Star Fox for the 64 was another mind-blowing thing, and that's because I experienced it at your house like years after the 64 had actually come out.
Yeah.
So I was way behind. I as far as I was concerned, Super Nintendo was the end-all, be-all of technology. I was living in Star Trek. And then I go to your birthday party, and I realize this not only exists, but has a very large library already.
I think that I owe some of those early games a debt of gratitude for developing my patience for doing the same thing over and over. Because I was just thinking about one of my favorite games that I played on the regular NES era, elevator action.
Yeah.
Right? All you do is you go up and down and shoot people in an elevator and occasionally like open doors, and you just work your way to the bottom floor. And you're just like, why the hell did he go here anyway if all these guys were there? Like nothing happened. So you just keep doing the same shit. It's just the hotel or whatever you're going through changes colors. And then years later, when you have kids and you think to yourself like, oh, how can they stand doing the same thing over and over? And all of a sudden you're like, oh no, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like once you find fun in games, you will occasionally find it fun in real life too. I mean, like, who among us on winter break hasn't played that Severnaya mission in Goldeneye?
Yeah, in Goldeneye,
and just immediately started playing that with snowball fights.
Yeah,
before you realize that Goldeneye is better.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the first time you try and do a combat roll in the snow and you kind of get stuck and you're like, no.
This doesn't look cool at all. It's just cold.
This is so much more fun watching them do it.
Yeah, and I can't actually have a gun that looks like a gun because somebody will show up and shoot me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so snowball fights they're fun, but they last a lot. They last less than NES.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes too much.
Well, it's that first time that somebody rolls up a bigger ice chunk and pelts you with it too. That you're like, you know what?
That's like mutual assured destruction, except nobody bothers to fight back because at that point it's over.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're
well, okay, everyone's going inside now. I hope you're happy.
The good news is you got a piece of ice to hold over your eye to keep that black eye from swelling up a little more.
Yeah,
yeah.
Look, I'm okay with taking an injury, but if you make me unable to play video games,
yep,
no eyes or hand injuries.
So, I mean, Christmas was also that time to get yelled at by your parents for staying up too late because you're playing games either with a friend or by yourself and you're just enjoying it way too much.
Yeah.
It's because at that point, it's almost like the holidays have already ruined them. They're already mad. They have to interact with people they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
They understand you're happy, but they also have to go to work the next day, and your happiness is just grating at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those like they don't have to go to work. They don't know what it's like, and then you're just like, go to sleep.
Like nothing is that funny. Like, oh, dude, you have no idea, and they don't. That's why it's so miserable. I no longer do. Like I just take comfort in the knowledge that somebody out there is laughing like hell at something that means nothing to me. But hell, they find it funny. It's nice.
Right. It is comforting. It's like whenever my son does it, there's part of me that's extremely amused. But if he's doing it at like 2 a.m, I'm like, you're 6. You should not be up this late. When you think they're asleep and you come back later and you're just like, okay. Well,
like you try to recapture the magic of Santa Claus, and it just never quite connects because it's never exactly the same.
right.
But, so you like. I mean, I guess you can just like get yourself really high and like put like televisions on like those commercial late night commercials on. You'll get something akin to your early childhood slap happiness. But
You know what I didn't realize is like I still believed in Santa Claus even though I'd watched Gremlins.
oh,
Think about those horrifying monologues that they gave in the was it the first Gremlins movie? Actually, there was one in both of them.
It's in both, yeah. But the second one they just play as a joke and take her off screen when she starts.
Yeah, when they were the first one, she's like, and that's why I don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. I'm like,
She said,
Jesus
"That's how I
Christ."
found out there's no Santa Claus."
Yeah, right. I was like, that's how I found out there's no Santa Claus because my dad slipped on the roof, fell down the chimney, and broke his neck and got stuck.
and we didn't find him until it started to stink.
Yeah, that again. Even though I'd heard that, part of me is still like, man, I hope Santa brings extra presents. Like, there's
no, it must be hard. It's been hard on Santa trying to go down and then running into a body. Like, oh,
it's funny because I heard that monologue, but yet it had to be a cousin flat out telling me he doesn't exist. Before I was like, what?
I mean, I believed in God at the time. Yeah, why not a fat man who gives presents? I mean, there's a big incorporeal man who gives plagues. There's got to be some good force in the world,
Right? Well, both. I mean, a classic depiction of both of them have beards.
yeah.
So-
And it turns out there is there is no imperative for the universe to be good. It's just something we do.
Yeah. I mean, it would continue to function one way or the other if we were good or evil.
Yeah, I mean, video games taught us that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Football never taught me that.
Okay, if we're going into that, speaking of games that make you change your existential outlook that you play on holidays because of their length, Xenogears.
Yeah,
That was summer break and Christmas break.
yeah. You have to do those over a break because you can't just like play it a little bit over like weeknights without focusing entirely on it, or you'll just get lost.
Horror games were made a little more palatable during the holiday season too, though, because I remember Silent Hill.
Yeah, it takes. I guess it's snowing.
I remember you and I playing Silent Hill and Resident Evil 2 during holiday seasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very. I'm sure there's. I'm sure there's a connection to be made. Oh, they're horror games and they're scary ghost stories to go along with the Tales of the Glories.
Right. Long enough though that it just takes maybe your afternoon to play through.
Yeah.
It's something to keep you occupied enough to where you don't like burn the house down before your parents get home.
Yeah, it's like in the 17th century, you buy your kids like The Adventures of Ali Baba and hope that it takes them a long time to read it.
Yes.
Why don't you kids play outside? Stop reading your goddamn Ali Baba.
That's.
I mean, we laugh, but that is technically a plot point in why Scrooge is so messed up.
That's true.
He loved Ali Baba because he was a nerd.
Yeah.
And then the world hardened him into becoming a libertarian.
Just it's soul crushing, isn't it?
And it required enormous existential force from three legitimate ghosts plus his friend,
right?
Who was also a ghost.
Well, tell you the truth, the only point that it seems like Scrooge hit that breaking point was when he realized Tiny Tim would die. Oh, otherwise, the rest of it is just unmoving to him. But you actually tell him that a kid on a crutch with a cough's going to go down. He's like, maybe I should rethink this Christmas thing.
Yeah. I mean, that kid could have been me.
That's all I've ever pulled from any adaptation. He's already upset by that time, and then when people are callously talking about him, he's kind of like, just like, oh, look, his linens are still warm. These will fetch a good price.
Oh, that's improper.
Yeah, he's just
Tiny
like
Tim.
He just goes, that guy must be miserable until he sees the name on the gravestone. But before that, he's just like, wait, Tiny Tim's gonna die, and that's the point that starts to tip him.
And Tiny Tim was such a cute little frog.
Oh yes, and
the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yes,
that's the best Christmas.
That
Carol.
is the best version.
I like Alastair Sims, but Michael Caine does a pretty good Scrooge too.
He really does. Let's not forget George C. Scott had a good one, but he was also an American playing an Englishman that did not try to adopt the accent. So,
Yeah, there's a what are some actual Christmas games? Like, I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas, the Grinch. There was a PlayStation Christmas Grinch.
there was.
You shoot fart guns at who's? At some point.
Technically, there was a Die Hard game.
There was
The Die Hard arcade trilogy, something like that.
One more badge and I'm gonna.
Yeah. Right, like it.
I actually like Die Hard too. I'm not gonna lie, I do like it.
They're good. Like
Look,
the first four are fun.
It's like Die Hard 2. There's snow on the ground. It's a Die Hard movie.
Right. No, I see. I can't think of too many other. Now, I will say I would play anything snow related though too. So obviously, The Empire Strikes Back.
Yep. That's Christmassy.
Get some Hoth going.
Yeah.
Even Final Fantasy Tactics had some snowy areas. And that game to this day, I love it, but there's certain sections of that piss me off so bad because of trying to protect the world's dumbest AI is frustrating. It's always been frustrating in games. It just needs to go away.
Yeah, just try to kill the frustrating AI.
Well, you're supposed to protect them, but the second they go down, then it ends it's like game over. Even though you're like, well, I've got a Phoenix down, I could just revive her.
Like, I'm okay. Like, make the game about me living with my failure.
I'm okay having a permanent medic follow her around to keep reviving her with the equivalent of what I can only consider to be smelling salts. But if you're just going to give me a game over every time she hits the ground, then no.
Most Mega Man games have at least one ice-related boss, so that's
yes.
There were a lot of like penguin robots that I've butchered my way through. Like, I'm feeling really in the spirit of things.
What was it? I keep thinking of, was it Chill Penguin?
Chill Penguin, yeah.
In Mega Man X, yeah.
Then there was also a Blizzard Buffalo. Only occasionally he gets his name mixed up in certain versions, so it's Billzard Buffalo. Nice. Which sounds like an actor's name.
It does. Like a distant relative of Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
That's
then there's, of course, Frostman, Iceman, Coldman.
Yeah.
Iceman. The very first.
They could get away with that for a little bit until they started running out of stuff. Although, can we just... what the hell was Guts Man?
He was gutsy. He was strong. He's a strong man.
So his power was just like bravado.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much. He was a heel.
Okay.
He was a big guy.
Or somebody who just showed his ass in the cartoon all the time.
That's true.
Always just random close-ups of his ass when he gets thrown through a wall.
Yeah, I woke up one weekend during winter break. I totally stayed up to watch the Ruby Spears cartoon at 4 a.m. and I realized why it only showed up at 4 a.m. and I never watched it again. There may be a Christmas episode of the Ruby Spears cartoon. I'm gonna have to look for it now. Because I do like to go back. I love to go through Betamaximus.
Yeah.
For the old Christmas specials from the 80s and 90s. And they had like the Inspector Gadget Christmas special.
Yes.
Where Inspector Gadget accidentally imprisons the real Santa Claus thinking he's a fake because Dr. Claw looks more like a convincing Santa Claus.
Okay, like... They had so many. They had so many of those accidental imposter Santa Claus specials back in the day for all the characters that we liked for their Christmas specials.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just point out that technically, in the Marvel and DC universes, Santa Claus does exist.
It's true.
In the Marvel universe, he is an Omega level mutant, so he's all powerful practically. In the DC universe, he particularly likes fucking with Darkseid.
Interesting.
He fights through all the defenses of Apocalypse every year just to deliver a single piece of coal to Darkseid. That's it. I'm not kidding. You can look that up. It is ridiculous.
I wonder if there was a Christmas episode of N, like the Nintendo guy where he has the Letterman jacket with the N and the Nintendo. I need to look up a lot of different nerd. Like there, it's hard. It was really hard to find nerd media that was like mainstream and easy to find. like I'm looking at your Christmas tree now, and there's a Mario ornament. There's
Yep.
and I
There's
Yeah.
I've got the entire Mario crew actually, including Donkey Kong. Just on the other side here, I've also got some Marvel and Star Wars ornaments too.
like one of the
Actually, I've got Batman on there somewhere.
oh nice.
Yeah, so I
Like-
got DC represented.
One of my Christmas presents that actually convinced me that there was Santa Claus. It was in third grade. I was like I was on that threshold where I was about to just give it up, and I got a Bandai Mega Man action figure that I had never seen before. And my parents kept saying, "Oh, they don't make toys for that because it's stupid."
Yeah,
And then I got one. Like, oh my god, my parents would never give me this because they think it's stupid. Santa's real.
yeah, exactly.
Santa understands, and he's a gamer.
That's some of the funny stuff too, because I mean, what was my early Christmases were dominated by Power Rangers and Star Wars.
Yeah, I like Godzilla and Star Wars.
Yes, Godzilla. That used to be one of the things we would do on holiday breaks too. We would actually, you and I would watch Godzilla movies
Yeah,
a lot, or taped episodes of MST3K.
yeah, because those were the VHSs I had in my library. Yeah.
Yes, it was freaking awesome.
I also had a VHS of some X-Men episodes,
Yes.
but I can't remember which ones.
Oh man,
It was probably like the very first one where Morph dies.
yeah. Well, kind of. Then he comes back later and
He dies off screen.
Yeah, turns heel, and
Yeah, he always kind of looks like a douchebag in retrospect.
he laughed like one too.
Yeah, he definitely.
That stupid weasel laugh.
He looked fine, but he sounded like an asshole.
Mhm.
The Mario cartoon. Is there a Christmas episode of the Mario cartoon?
I 100% sure there is.
Okay, I'm gonna have to
I've-
look for that because there's
See-
a He-Man Christmas episode, and if Skeletor can find the meaning of Christmas and fight Hordak,
Right.
there has to be one where Bowser sits down for Christmas dinner with the Mario Brothers.
Oh, I don't think it ends like that. I think he's probably at threat of getting a lump of coal. I can't remember what it is
Oh.
exactly. I just remember.
So he's like trying to be like, okay, so he finds out he's on the naughty list and he tries to remedy it by doing a lot of nice stuff.
It's kind
But
of
not knowing
like
how.
that,
Okay.
but I think it's kind of like that. I can't remember exactly. That was one of those, like, you ever realize how genetic something is until your kid picks up that stuff without you introducing it to him?
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah. It's like the first time you walk into a GameStop and the first thing he notices is a Mega Man action figure that he wants. And you're just like, this kid never stood a chance. That's my genetics. That's, yeah.
Man, I'd be so man. My parents would hate me so much more if this was out when I was little.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
this was the state of toy stores, I would be much more reviled in my household.
Oh, yeah. Which I always found it funny because, like, I would get so much crap for not going outside and playing basketball, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, Dad, you quit playing basketball when you were a freshman in high school, like, because they want you to cut your hair. Like, that's not no room to criticize here. Exactly. Like, I was still doing sports and everything, but I probably would have cut my hair if they asked me, though.
Yeah, I don't really care about my hair. I actually don't even I don't style. I just go to a barber and it's like, make it short.
Yeah, that's it.
You see this? It's long. I don't like it. It's also very warm.
But yeah, but it's funny because I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Christmas break was really the perfect time for either. It was kind of the challenge times. It's like doing like a no revive run for Pokemon.
Oh, yeah,
or that kind of stuff. It was just perfect. You had the time to
Yeah.
just make yourself angry.
And Pokemon came out in like the fall of
It did.
we were in fourth grade. It came out in like the fall, so yeah, it was like the perfect Christmas era present.
Yeah. Especially if you knew somebody who had a link cable, because at that point, Christmas just turned into let's go to as many houses as we can and sync that link
like,
cable up.
It's like caroling, only you're rapping.
Which was funny because I was one of the few that had a link cable out of us that I remember.
Yeah, I definitely didn't.
Because it came with my Game Boy. I had the carrying case for it and everything. And for some reason, I had this cable that I had no freaking idea for years what it was supposed to do. And then Pokemon happened. All right. Well, let's do it now, I guess.
Yeah, I think I spent most of Christmas night at Grandma's hiding in like a corner, trying to win money at the casino to buy Porygon.
Yes. Which was funny because I can remember, like, as soon as you get Porygon, you're just kind of like, okay, now what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was always like, if there was a game with multiple endings, we're gonna get all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was. I'm thinking like Metal Gear Solid. Good time to run through that.
Mm-hmm.
Of
course, like you know how you go to like other people's houses on Christmas, and sometimes they have game systems there, sometimes they don't. Like my grandparents, like it would always that was the Tiger. That was a Tiger handheld or Game Boy area because there's like a bunch of different cousins going around, but we don't have link cables, so we're all just off in our own worlds doing random things.
right.
And that basically just kept up. Basically, like this is gonna be the first year we don't actually meet at my grandparents' house. It's gonna be kind of weird.
It's always weird when that starts to happen.
Yeah, like I think my last big Christmas memory, like when the Xbox One came out, I finally got it, but I couldn't use it because I don't have internet.
Oh,
and I didn't have, but my grandparents did. So I I volunteered for late night decommissioning of Christmas duty, and I smuggled in my Xbox One to use their internet and had that downloading updates and stuff like that while I took down their Christmas lights and trees and slept there that night. It was.
So here's the funniest thing that I can remember. Okay, New Year's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the time when. Did your parents ever just be like, "All right, we're gonna go somewhere for New Year's. Here, have fun at home."
Yeah.
Mine wasn't ever really quite like that. It would always be me and one other person. Sometimes Bo. Sometimes I think Scott. And we would. Our parents would be like, hey, we're going to go across the street to the Moose because they would drop me off at my grandma's house. And it's like we rented a PlayStation or you can bring your N64 or whatever. We'll hook it up to the TVs there and we'll just be across the street. And it was the point, like my grandparents were even over there. So it was just us.
Yeah.
Just, doing whatever, playing, Tomb Raider or something while everybody's having fun on New Year's Eve. And then around 3 a.m., they would come back over and be like, oh, you guys are still awake? And then we'd just go home like it was just over.
Yeah, we stayed awake for New Year's. That's totally a thing we care about.
Yep, that's exactly. We had to get the New Year started off right. But, those curses on ancient artifacts weren't going to lift themselves. So,
And then when we went to we all went off to college and different we went off to different corners of the state, but we always came back for winter break. And what do we do?
Oh,
Fell
easy.
right.
Yeah.
The Wii came out in freshman year.
I was gonna say what did we do?
The goddamn Wii came out.
I say we busted out the Wiimote because that was the other part. The consoles got released in November, so if there's a new one, you got it for Christmas probably. Yeah. So, all right, time to bust it out. Let's see what we got going here. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, the Wii was the big one that one year, but even at that, we were still going to other people's house, linking everything up, or playing on Xbox Live.
Like high school when Halo came out, that was
the Halo LAN parties did not end until like close to 2010.
Oh yeah,
because we graduated in 06?
Yeah.
I don't know why that should have been so hard for me to remember. No, it was like half my life ago at this point, but. It was, and even at that, like breaks would just come back, link everything up together again, and just start going for it. Especially whenever the internet was not an option for me at my house in the basement.
Like the infrastructure bill that just passed that might solve it finally.
Well, DSL was around, and it was cheaper than running 56K, but my dad. That was the hill he was determined to die on. Like, I ain't switching for nothing. And
Laserdisc forever.
He was perfectly content with just going on to get, like, basketball odds.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't betting, but he was, like, trying to make picks for, like, pools and stuff that he was part of.
Yeah, it's like me with 40K building armies without ever actually buying anything.
Yeah, pretty much. So to him, it didn't matter. And it was even more of a boon for him because it tied up a phone line. So who gives a shit? Like, no one's going to call me. What do I care?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to your house, we're going to your house. We're not going to call.
Yeah, we knew that. It was just funny because it's something like, I think Mom got it. She understood.
Mm-hmm.
But Dad was like, I don't understand this. I'll never, quite rally behind it, but he still gave us a wide berth. Like, he just let us do whatever, which was funny. I mean, we basically owned that basement, and then just KOTOR. That was one I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Play for an hour, trade off to the next person. They play for an hour, we trade off to the next person. All different files, though. So none of us ever made it any further than what we'd already seen.
20 different save files.
Yeah.
Running consistently.
Hey, look, it's the fourth time this evening we're seeing the rat ghoul serum quest. It's the
Yeah, let's see how let's see how it plays out this way if we do it like a total dick bag.
Yeah.
Just in time for Christmas.
Pretty much, yes. It was but that was half the fun, though, was just seeing how many different, or that was the time when we figured out that BioWare really didn't know how to not program an infinite dialogue loop.
Yeah, and then one of my big snowball fight memories was building a fort in my backyard.
Yep.
And then after we built it, we had one snowball fight, and then we started playing Clay Fighter again.
Yeah. Well, I remember in particular, I'm pretty sure your dad accidentally pelted me in the face with a snowball.
Oh, that was the perfect cue to just go back inside and start playing games again.
Like, it didn't hurt or anything. It's just like when I got back up, I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And your dad was like, yeah, maybe we should call it quits. Yep. And then at that point, you and I were like, yeah, no, I think it's a good time to call it quits.
Yep. Injury. Time to fake an injury.
Yeah, Clay Fighter. And then what did we do? We went down, played Clay Fighter, Bad Mr. Frosty.
Yep, Bad Mr. Frosty.
Yep.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say Clay Fighter's Christmas game then.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna count it.
Yeah, along with every Mega Man game.
Basically any game that features snow.
Any game that features snow. I don't care about Australia.
Oh man,
I also don't care about Indiana. So when it becomes too hot to have snow at all, Christmas time, I don't care. Doesn't affect my metric of what makes Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually, it's just going to be some tiny corner of Canada. That's Christmas.
You know what? All the Metroid games, I think, qualify as a Christmas game. Then potentially, because they all have at least one section where it's a little chilly.
That's true.
At least maybe a little snow somehow, even though you're underground.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, what are you hoping to get for Christmas? The silence speaks volumes.
Yeah. It shows me. Okay, my girlfriend asked me this, and I felt like such a kid with the answer I gave. We were just in Walmart, and I just looked at the first thing I saw.
Yeah.
But we were in the Switch aisle because I was trying to look to see if there was something that my son might like.
Mm-hmm.
And I was considering Pokemon because he's kind of on the, like, he kind of likes it. He more likes the cards.
Oh.
But so all of a sudden I look up, and like the first thing I point to happens to be a double pack of Star Wars Episode 1 Racer and Republic Commando.
Mm.
And she's like, really? That's what you want? And I'm like, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Right? Like, oh, all the customization options for the Pod Racer are great.
Like honestly, I'm terrible about that myself, but I participate in Something Awful Secret Santa, and they're very good about. I mean those are my people.
Yeah.
So like one year I just got like a $15 Mega Man X collection, which I was never going to be able to buy. I was never going to bother to buy it on my own. So I finally got to play the Mega Man X series Beyond 5, and I'm kind of glad I never did because
yeah, exactly.
I would have given up a lot. Or, I don't have the mental fortitude of a old man like I do now. But this year I got the Pokemon Illustrated Manuscript Codex.
Nice,
all in Latin.
Wow.
It's all like Ash is being given Pikachu by an angel, while Brock looks on, dressed in Byzantine robes. There's like there's an Arbok in the Garden of Eden, tempting Ash to Team Rocket.
Okay, you know what the weird part is about Christmas for me now is like when having a kid, it's like the fact that he is so much like me when I was his age, and he likes the same stuff. It's like I get toys that I know he's gonna like, but I know he's gonna want to play. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, it's pretty awesome. Let's play. Like, it's like You want Legos? Sure, I'll get Legos. Why not? Nerf guns? Even better. Like right now, over in that corner, there is an Dr. Eggman, like egg robot from the end of Sonic 2.
Oh, that's cool.
Toy that's over there because
God, that's cool.
Because he loves Sonic and he saw that and wanted it, and I'm like, I actually kind of want that too.
Yeah, I want
right.
that.
It's like I'm about 3 years old on the inside. Yeah.
Yeah, when we were little, we had to like find twigs in the forest and then like twine them together. This is Eggman's robot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they just didn't make toys for it, which was funny because it would have been a huge like everybody loved Mario. You couldn't tell me they couldn't sell Mario
like,
toys.
I mean, they did, I guess, during the area, but it was all in Japan, and and Japan is a long drive,
right? I say you knew your parents weren't going to have it imported either.
Well, look, as far as I was concerned, the horizon ended at Evansville, and then the flat Earth ends.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Mount Vernon, no, there's no Mount Vernon. That is a myth created by the liberal media to to tempt you to the West Coast.
There's nothing outside that. That is, those are the wastelands outside of there.
You must never go there.
Before it drops off the edge.
Everything the light touches.
Everything
the Rush Limbaugh touches on the AM is your kingdom.
Oh, God.
Okay. So, as Christmas draws near, or New Year's, or whenever the hell you're listening to this, just bear in mind that, it's always a good time to like treat yourself or someone special in your heart, especially if they're related to you, especially if they're your kid, because goddamn.
Right. I say it's a very, very well put, sir. Keep it going.
Just have a good time and help other people have a good time. And, Merry Christmas, one and all, and Happy New Year's, whatever.
Yeah, happy holidays, whatever
Happy holidays.
it may be. And
a very Merry Krishna.